It's January now. It's been a while since I worked on this boat. I'm just getting ready to make up the second round. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my 7/8 lap. I have a block of wood here that I made up, which is a 7/8 lap. I'm going to mark it, then I'll go along with the plane and cut the bevel. In the middle here, there is not really a lot of material to remove. But what I'm doing is I'm using this stick that I used to bevel the keel with. And again, I like to cut the bevel before I remove the plank, because once I remove the plank, there isn't a lot of support for these shattered ribs. So there isn't going to be a lot of reference. So this I always bevel the plank that I'm going to replace before I remove the adjacent plank. That way I can maintain a bit of control over maintaining the shape. The other thing I do at this point, so I don't forget, is I like to mark the center of where the ribs are. In the big picture of things, I will be nailing the spaces between the ribs, and then when I put the ribs in later, the nails will go in. So the idea is to have all of the nails evenly spaced in the finished product. On a lot of gravets, I don't think they quite got this, because sometimes you wind up with a lap nail here and a rib nail right beside it, sometimes right on top of one another. So I like to keep track of the spacing here and just mark the ribs where it's possible. I mean, here's one spot where it's kind of gone, but by the time I get out to here, I won't be able to find that spot. So I just like to do that while I'm still have the opportunity to get a clue of where the ribs are supposed to go.
Service headquarters and yet the opposition party had refused to recommend that.
The mood and this commotion, I want to seen an outpouring of love for Toronto's country. Andrew was a giant importer of being all around. He was always willing to lend a hand or he was willing to moderate your good or jump on Andrew Bell. Thanks so much for being here today, man. I'm really sorry for you.
Oh, that's a big loss for everybody, but thanks for having me. It's great to be able to talk about Andrew. I have an issue with Andrew, but if they did, they would have
exactly the sort of impression that you get. When you think about the loss of a friend, you think about the loss of Andrew here, what's the key lesson you think from your time together that you want to hold on to and carry forward in your life?
Two gunmen leaders expected with rolling snow this afternoon, and on hot -6 tonight. Quarters 5 centimeters expected.
What I'm doing now is I'm just going to put a little block here, so I know where to position the second round, just to see how it fits now with the new garboard. I'll put this block here so I don't lose the position, but then I'm going to clean up the ribs, and when I do, I'll probably lose the position of most of these laps, but that doesn't really matter as long as I've got one spot. I've also got it marked at the stern post here and stem where the end is supposed to go. Now that I've got the block there, I can clean up the ribs just to minimize the amount of crap that I'm going to get on the new wood, because I'm going to be steaming the new plank. I can't really pre-coat it and varnish like I did with the keel. I've got the old plank in position here. I've just laid it on to see where it's going to wind up. I've got those blocks which I've tweaked a little bit so I can reposition a new plank in the same spot. Up here where the device is, I've marked where the pattern is on the inside. Now this is very important. I've got a piece of tape on here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark where that is. Now when I make the new plank, I'll make sure that I make it a little bit wider here, just so the bolts that come through the device will be going through 2 layers of planking. I've got the bow plank laid on here. I just noticed one of the spots here where, see, there is where my 7/8 lap is, but here is where the plank wants to go. I'm just going to make the plank the same. In this spot, it'll just mean the lap will be a bit wider. The nice thing about lap strake is it's not really critical how the planks fit. As long as the laps are the right angle, then it's not really important whether the lap is 1/8 of an inch or even 1/4 of an inch bigger. I try not to make it less. I've seen some boats where it is down to 1/2 an inch on some of the laps, but in this case, everything looks pretty good, so I'll probably just make the new plank by tracing it off of this one. And then when after I steam the new plank on, I'll remark the lap and just make sure that the bevel is a full land for the plank where it overlaps. This second plank, I'm going to have to cut a gain on both sides. One thing I have noticed, one of the old Gravette guys I used to work with, he pointed out this trick. The bottom plank, the one that the next one is going to lay onto, I make that 18 inches, and then the top one here will be 20 inches long. He pointed out that if you make it like that, 2 inches difference, it lays a lot flatter. I've been doing it that way for quite a while, and I find it works quite well. The other thing I do is I always mark the plank when I'm near the boat. See, I put a squiggle on here. It doesn't take much distraction until all of a sudden you realize that you've cut the gain on the wrong side of the plank. And anyway, I just do that as cheap insurance. Just getting ready to cut the gain on this side, and then I'll do the other side. Little toggle here, and I've just fitted the front of the plank here. I've got the gains cut on both. You just got to do the other 3, and then I'll get ready to put them in the steam box. Okay, the planks have been clamped on here for a couple of days. And they seem to have taken the twist. The bottom edge here seems to be about where I want it. So what I've done is I've just gone over the top here, marked where the lap, actual lap is on the plank. I'm going to take this plank off now to sand it. Because what happens is after it's been steamed, the fibers swell up. Now you can see here the line I've traced on here is actually wider than the 7/8 lap. Not a big deal. I'm not going to skinny down the plank. I'm just going to correct the bevel so the bevel actually goes out to where the actual pencil line is. And I think I'm going to have to walk up these cats somewhere, but it's probably an extra 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch in a lot of places. It's actually stronger that way. Up here where the device is quite a bit wider, which I do want because I'm just going to have to flatten that out so this line here is not a crown, it will be a flat continuation. And this is where the device is. There'll be the bolts will have lots of meat to grab now. Okay, this is the second round. All fitted, sanded, ready to be nailed in. I've got the scarf trimmed. Now to nail this, I'm just going to be nailing the laps. The ribs will be going in later. I haven't quite got enough room to get my hand under here to hold the bucking iron. And since the next round is going to be changed anyway, I'm going to take that plank out and then nail this one in. Eventually I'm going to have to find somebody to put under the boat to help me install the last 2 rounds. It's the one thing I cannot do myself.